Hello guys, in this video we will cover what are the functions in C++ and why do we use them. So before starting this video, I want to advise you two websites to learn about the functions in C++. The first one is W3 Schools. Please just go to this link or Google W3 Schools C++ functions, and here it's a good source for learning about the functions, about the parameters and arguments of the functions. Or I would advise the functions, C++ functions topic in programmist.com. In the description of the video I will give the links of these sources, but I have also prepared this presentation. So what are functions and why do we use them? So functions are basically the blocks of code in your program. And why do we use them? They enable programmers to break down a problem into smaller chunks, to use the divide and conquer strategy, like you divide your programs in subprograms into small pieces and concentrate on small pieces separately. And thus it makes it easier to understand, and it makes it easier to solve and read the program, and they can be reused. So you can think about a function just like a machine. You give an input, or sometimes you don't give an input, and the machine performs some operations and gives you the result. So here this input will be the parameter, and this will be the value or the result that the function returns, and this will be the function itself. So in the flow of the program, when you run the C++ program, first the main function will start, and when it runs the codes and it comes to run this function, it goes and calls the function and runs the function, and once the function is finished, it will come back and continue the sequence of the program. And the structure of the function is like this. First you have to write the type of the function, so the function can be void or it can return a value. We will talk about it later. And you must give a name to the function, but pay attention that you can't put a space between the words, or you can't start with a number, and you have to open and close these brackets, and sometimes you put parameters inside these brackets, and you open and close your function with these curly brackets, with these curly braces, and then you write your code. So generally this is the structure of any C++ function. And functions can be void or it can return a value. So when the function is void, it doesn't return any value, it just works, it performs, and then it finishes. But if the function returns a value, like in this example, you can use the result of the function. For example, at line 15, you see that the result of the function can be assigned to another variable using equal to sign if the function returns a value. So let's see with examples. So first I will start. Let me go to the C++ compiler. So first let's start with a void function. So as I told earlier, void functions don't return any value, it just performs some task. And how we create a function, every time declare your function between this include iostream using namespace std and int main function. So if you put your function after int main, it will not work, because the inside of int main function our C++ program will not be able to find your function. That's why every time declare your functions between these lines and between the int main function. Actually the C++ program any C++ program consists of mainly the main function. Actually this main is also a function, but it's a special function plus runs at the beginning. And let's start. First, I will create a void function, which means my function will not return any value. So to create a void function, you type void and you give the name of the function. Let it be say hello. So the name of the function is say hello, and you open and close these brackets. Then I open and close these curly brackets. And inside the function, it will say hello user, and then it will go to the new line, and then my function will say how are you. So when you run the program, nothing happens because I have the function, but I didn't call the function. So to call the function, you write the function name, bracket, and you put your semicolon. That's how you call the function. So since my function is void function, it does not return any value. I don't assign any value that comes as a result from this function. So when I run the function, when I run the program, what it does at line 10, it calls the function, then it goes to line 5, it prints hello user, then it goes to line 6 and it prints how are you. So this is a void function without any parameter. But what if I want to create a void function with a parameter? So let's create a program that asks the user for a name and then salutes the user. So I will create a function salute the user, and I say that as a parameter I am expecting a string variable, and let the name of the variable be name. So I say that as I want one parameter, but the type of the parameter must be string, and this is the name of the variable that will come from the outside. So inside my main function, I will create a variable n, and I will print a message like what is your name. Then I will read the name of the user, and then here I will call the function salute the user, and I will pass a parameter into the function n. So I put the parameter n inside the function, and then and inside the function it will say hello name. Let's run it. Okay, I made a mistake, I'm sorry. What is your name? My name is Merdan, and it says hello Merdan. So what happens actually, first the main function is started, then at line 10 it prints a message what is your name, then we read the name, and then we pass a parameter n of type string to the function salute the user. Then it goes here, runs this code, and once it's finished it comes back here, then goes to line 13. Pay attention that the parameter that I pass here must be of the same type as the parameter here. Since this parameter is of type string, this parameter must also be of type string, and actually indeed our parameter n is of type string. Let's create another example where I will have two numbers and print the sum of the numbers. I'm sorry. I will have the function add numbers, and as a parameter I will expect two integers values. So I created a function which is void, which does not return any value, and the name of the function is add numbers, and it is expecting two parameters, and the types are integer. And when I get these numbers, I'll create another variable sum, and I'll say that sum is equal to a plus b. So this a is this a, and this b is this b. Then after finding the sum, I will print out the value of the sum. In my function, I will have two variables of type integer, and I will read my variables, and then I will call the function add numbers, and inside I will pass my variables x and y. Because my function add numbers wants from me, expects two integer values, and I pass two integer values. And again, pay attention that the first parameter must be integer, and indeed my first parameter x is integer, and second parameter must also be integer, and indeed my second parameter y is also integer. So when I run the program, I input two numbers and it prints 14. So what happens here is, at line 12, I read two numbers, what I did here, and then when it comes to line 13, it calls the function add numbers and passes two parameters into the function. So it goes here and it declares variable sum, then it says that sum is equal to a plus b. So again, this a is this a and this b is this b. And then it prints the sum. But actually, we can modify this function so that it returns a value. So I want this function, let's change the name as addition. I want this function to return an integer value. That's why here I write integer. It means that my function will return integer value. It will give the result integer value. And then here I say that it will return sum. So if your function is not void, if it returns any data type, here you write return and then you return the result. So since my function is returning integer value, the result which is being returned must also be integer because I am returning integer value, and indeed sum is integer. So here I will create another variable s, and I'll say that s is equal to addition xy. So when your function returns a value, actually you can use that value, you can use that result and assign it to some variable with using this equal to sign, because you return a value. Now we have a value that we can use. That's why think about it just like any integer variable, because it returns integer. Now, and after getting value from the function addition into variable s, I can print s. So, it wrote 14 two times because I forgot to delete this line. I'm sorry. Let's run it again, and 11 and 3 gives me 14. Actually, I could directly do it this way. I can also use cout and directly write the result of the function. It also works.